Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look here at SUI. Holy cow, 5.6% down on the day. Not looking so strong, is it? We're going to see if it's worthwhile keeping a long position open, which we have in the 190s, and if it's even worthwhile or perhaps consideration for a long. Now, we do have this descending trend line that is potentially going to be bearishly backtested. Our bull flag is still in play, which seems kind of weird, but if we don't lose a 0.5 fib level here, it could still work out. Again, I'm not trying to fill your head with potential excellent things that could happen, because this is not a good situation whatsoever. Bitcoin's trending towards losing that 69K range. And if that happens, I think we're going to see SUI probably push down to this 0.618 fib level at 180 as a better case scenario for those who are interested in longs. Having said that, though, we're going to take kind of an unbiased approach here and take a look and see if there's any worthwhileness, that's even a word, in taking a long versus short. I do want to say thanks again to my community for some awesome feedback here. We did take some nice profit here from Bitcoin short, Near Protocol short, and a Solana short. 27, 32, and 37% on those three. We do technically, again, have a long position open with SUI. I believe this 0.5 fib level should work as a support. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's quickly recognize the liquidation levels first. Last 7 days, we can see majority of late longs here got destroyed about 190 to 188. Again, the reason why they got destroyed is because they're high leverage. We have a long position actually at a worse entry than these guys here, and our position is still in better shape because it's a low leverage. Now, again, I'm not claiming to be like the most amazing trader ever. My average success rate is maybe 75 to 85% on average, but the truth is, I'm able to find those take profit targets because I don't use high leverage, right? If I used high leverage, I'd probably have a very low success rate. It's just kind of the way that it goes. So don't be another statistic and use anything larger than 10x. We only 5x leverage our altcoins, which seems to make the most sense. Then I 10x leverage Bitcoin. It's the only coin that I do. Oh no, sorry, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the two that I 10x. Everything else is Vibe. Anyways, I'm mentioning that because we have these lower liquidation levels that could get hit here. I would say 180 is probably the next target if we end up losing the 0.5 fib level that support at 186, 187. We can see, again, pretty massive concentration at 160. Well, I don't think that's likely. We still have a lot of, interestingly enough, a lot of longs that haven't secured profits. Imagine being in profit from 160 and not taking any profit by now. That is just insane to me. Anyways, these are people that are using high leverage, and they're also getting eaten up on fees too. So they may not share with you how much they're paying for their trade, but the truth is they're going to look pretty awesome on social media with those really large gains that haven't closed yet. Anyways, conversation for another day. You can tell that sarcasm comes from a place within that just doesn't love showboatedness and those who continue to push how awesome they are because they take high risk trades. Come on, folks. That's we're not in high school anymore, are we? Are we really? Oh, there might be some high schoolers that watch. If so, thank you so much. But that's just not the way life should work. Anyways, the delta is getting further down, so we're starting to finally see this shift in momentum where people are shorting SUI, which is good to see finally for a change, because the more overextended this gets, the more likely it is to reverse too. So I'm not saying we're just going to instantly turn around because of this, but when we have too high leverage in either direction, it will naturally reverse itself. SUI is also really good about finding its bottom, wherever that is, and just absolutely ramping off and just turning right around. So if you're going to short this coin, just move your stop loss lower as you get into profit and make sure you're not being super greedy. You can't be greedy on a short with this coin. Maybe a little more so with the long, but definitely not shorts. Okay, take a look here. $2 is that rough estimate for the local. Basically point of control. It's the open interest letting us know that we have the most amount of interested positions at $2. All right, so again, that's kind of where we're at there. So take a look here at the daily. Let's work our way down and see what's going on. We still got a pretty significant fair value gap as low as 180. So as I mentioned previous, this is seeming to be a little bit more realistic at this point. Okay, so a pullback to the 180 range may actually happen. Just again, that's a fair value gap because all this value here for this candle needs to be swept or taken at one point. Keep in mind, these are market movers moving the price down, or market makers, they're movers too. They effectively pushing the price action down to get where they need to. They consistently set limit orders and keep pushing the price to wherever they want, and at that point it turns it around. The reason why that fair value gap exists is because people, specifically the market makers, they want to be able to get back to their original entries. They're taking all that profit, they're trimming it all, okay? Meanwhile, people like you and I are just adding to the fire by just keep on taking more and more long positions. If it wasn't for these high leverage longs, we probably wouldn't be working with this because the market makers love destroying those high leverage accounts, and it's just a rinse and repeat. Anyways, we're right here at 50 on the RSI, just below technically. Today's candlestick hasn't closed yet, but generally speaking, it's construed as mostly bearish when you're underneath that range there. At least that's how I see it. Money flow index is increasing though, so it does tell us we're seeing more volume flowing into this coin even as the price comes down. So that's generally favorable. So I think we are we're getting closer to our bottom, but once more, it's honestly too early to tell. This is a weekend, folks. Weekends get really weird, and oftentimes it's best to avoid trading into a weekend. I personally thought Bitcoin was going to perform a little bit better yesterday, so took some longs with confidence on Solana and SUI. So far, SUI has been a big letdown. Solana's actually doing pretty well. Anyways, watch my video on that if you're curious. I think that one's going to hold pretty well. But again, we got this 0.5 fib level here for SUI. That's roughly about 187. So 187 is my estimate on the low, but once again, fair value gap as low as 180 is the secondary worst case scenario to that. So you can look here at RSI. We can see where we lost 50 on the RSI. Generally construed as a bad sign, right? Same thing here with the money flow index coming down pretty low, or staying low rather. Stochastic swinging down. Dang near everything here is letting us know we are diverging. We lost every single moving average in the last 24 hours. Now, what that basically means for us isn't, the sky is falling. I mean, this coin is super good about faking you out. As soon as you break bearish, the price goes up. So just know there's a solid chance we're going to see a pivot here soon. And in its history, SUI has been really good about bouncing off previous highs and lows. Like this 164 level, when I thought everything was going to continue lower, it held like a champ because that was a previous low, and we spent a lot of time there, okay? So right now, we have a tentative low, right? With the previous time frame there at about 187 holding previous, and there's a good chance that'll hold as a potential support. And once again, secondary to that 0.618, that's kind of closer to this local area where we spent some time and couldn't pass through as well. So generally speaking, when you see me talking about previous highs, previous lows, the reason why those are relevant is because highs are areas of significant resistance, right? So the bears are like, we're not going past this point. And then when it's retested later, after it's been passed, then the price action will continue the opposite direction. So it's an interesting thing the way that it works, but at this point here, there's nothing interesting about this price action. This is just very ugly and terrible. I'll remove this here for the moment and take a look here at Ichimoku Cloud. We can see every green light to leave your short position open if you have one, okay? It just looks like a consistent free fall. I'm willing to bet that the market makers are just absolutely dumping all of their profit, or taking profits basically, dumping all their positions to get down to that 180 range, okay? Again, it kind of reaffirms itself with this lower liquidation levels, but also simply put, that's just kind of an area of confluence, all right? So just bear in mind, if you're gonna take a long right now, it's a high risk long. If you want to consider closing your long position that you have open with us, feel free to do so. We've secured a lot of profits to offset that. And at this point, we're only halfway to our stop loss. So it may be advantageous to consider cutting your losses there. But again, weekends are weird, folks. It's just one of those strange things that you really can't account for. So at this point, the thing we can account for is that Bitcoin keeps retesting its low here. If we lose this level, I think most altcoins are going to just have that natural knee-jerk reaction down. The whole, really scared kind of thing. There's a lot of fear in the market right now, which you generally need to, or want to buy the fear, but there's a way in which you want to do it. And right now, I just think it's a little too premature to buy this level. But if you do end up getting in at 187, just know there's potential for further downside. And on top of that, make sure that you recognize that low leverage, low position size is probably going to give you a lot more return in the long run, because you'll be more consistent by securing profits more often instead of getting liquidated and feeding the monster, okay? So please, please, please just be careful with it however you trade, and obviously make sure that you are using good risk tolerance that meets your expectations and your, just who you are as a person, right? My risk tolerance is way different than most, so if you take my trades, just know there's always an inherent risk that I'm okay with taking on. You need to make sure you're okay with that too. All right, thanks again for watching. I hope you learned something. Make sure you, again, trade with Bitunix, folks. We got a pretty awesome progressive prize pool thing going on here. We got about 26 million volume so far, and the target is 500 million. So far, we're on target for that, and if so, we get a $60,000 payout among 20 different contestants, if you will. All right, so fun stuff. Check it out, links down below. If you use my link to register in the past, you're automatically eligible, so just check that out. You can use the link to kind of track your progress. All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next one.